And people can handle it in one of two ways. Some municipalities, they just say, no, you're paying your bill. Other municipalities, what they do is they allow you to disconnect, but then they charge you a fairly healthy fee when you reconnect. Works out to roughly the same thing. The philosophical underpinning for continuing the charge in place is very similar to the argument we made a couple of years ago when we put in a higher tax rate on vacant property. Those water mains, sewer lines, storm lines, they're in the ground, they have to be there, we paid for them, we're paying interest on the bond, we have to maintain capacity. Whether you're there or not, the town is still incurring costs associated with them, either to construct them or to maintain them or to ultimately replace them. And that, that's driven by tax, and utility revenues. And just because you're gone for 6 months, you don't get an exemption from your fair share of the utility infrastructure costs. Some people agree with that argument, some people don't. Our recommendation is we leave things at the status quo, but there have been some requests from citizens who are not here for the full year to be able to not be charged the utility bill when they're not here and then have it reconnected. Obviously we wouldn't disconnect and reconnect for free. We got to send a guy out there, turn the valves, blah, 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 blah. It's not free. But again, we can go any way council can go. One thing we did note in the report, there are some situations where we can cancel a service and there actually is a savings to the town. If we cancel your garbage collection, we get charged less for garbage collection. So that's a savings we can legitimately pass on to the ratepayer because we're not incurring an actual cost. But again, it's a philosophical discussion, and we will implement whatever council wishes us to implement.
Our contracts with these companies, say the garbage removal or something, is based on X amount of citizens. So if we start...
No, it's based on the actual number of pickups.
Sorry, pickups. That's what I meant to say. So if we start removing some off the board and stuff, doesn't that change?
Well, I'll use the garbage one because that's what I remember. We get charged $4.33 per household per month, plus the tippage fees on the tonnage of garbage we bring to the landfill. If we say XYZ Vista Drive is gone for 6 months, don't pick up their garbage, they don't pick up their garbage, and they reduce our bill by $4.33.
How many customers are we talking about, or residents are we talking about?
We're not talking, we're...
A dozen, 20?
I would guess. It's on legions.
Yes,
we have 1,300 and change total pickups. 10?
If that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think we change it for 10.
Yeah. Some citizens asked me to bring it to council, so I did.
I have a question for you, Ken. Of our benchmark communities that you've listed on here, how many of those are based on policy, or is it just what they do?
I don't know. I don't know how they have come up with that result. Kathy did the survey for me. I did not ask that question.
So what I'm looking for here is once we make a decision, I'd like some consistency on how we do it.
Okay.
And so if whichever way we move forward, I would like it to be, whatever the best way for us is, either by policy or by bylaw. And I don't know which you think is the best way to do it, but whatever decision we make, I want to lend some consistency.
We have a pretty comprehensive rates and fees bylaw that we amend every year. My inclination, if council gave me direction to include it, we would put a line in under the garbage section. You may cancel, you may not cancel, and we just write it into the bylaw because we revisit that bylaw once a year anyway to set all our fees.
I do have a question though on the garbage, and I don't really know the answer, but I don't know how they track who they pick up from. Like, it's not like you have a barcode on your garbage can when they drive by. So if you've got 5 people you don't pick up from, are they gone? Are they just not, the bin isn't full?
Exactly.
Or why are they, like, now we're expecting the garbage man to monitor who's putting their garbage out, because I put my garbage can out like once a month maybe. So instead of every week. So, because he's not picking up 3 weeks out of the month, like, how do they track that? Is, like, to me, we're almost making, it's a big work project, and now the garbage guy has to, okay, they didn't pick up for the month, or there was no bin there for 3 weeks. Now do I have to check with the town and see they're gone?
Presumably, if they're not there, they won't be putting their bid out. The problem is itself.
What about people then like Joe, say they want to apply for half the garbage pickup because they want to do garbage?
Yeah, it's a can of worms.
So-
Like, I think you're putting too much onus on the driver to determine, like, okay, now I haven't picked up 3 times there, so I let the town office know, well, it's just because I haven't put it out, but you are actually gone for 3 weeks, so, like, then does the town tell them, like, you're not picking up there because he's gone, and I just didn't put my bin out, like, how do they decide who's gone and who's just not putting their bin out? And does that matter? I don't know.
What we do is, I'm assuming it works the way our normal procedures work, except in reverse. Like if somebody moves into 1, 2, 3 Vista, we add that name to the list and we now tell the collection people, okay, you're now 1, 2, 3 is now authorized.
Yeah.
And presumably it'd be now in the reverse if we went ahead. And again, we're just bringing this,
Yeah.
citizens requested and we're bringing it to council for your feedback. If you want us to write a policy bylaw, we will. If you want to leave it the status quo, that works with fine too.
John, normally we wait for questions till the end, but you're our one representative of this request at the moment, so jump in.
Okay, because of all technology nowadays, it's garbage can, they provide with a barcode. So whenever it actually, the alarm picks it up, it actually reads a barcode and registers it.
They don't have a barcode.
Sorry?
They don't have a barcode.
But they can apply.
Okay.
That's what we done. But then maybe for the town, it could well be that you're actually going to be charged a lot less overall, because just like say for yourself, only once out of the month you're going to get your garbage bin emptied out. People forget to put their bins out, et cetera, et cetera. There could be probably out of, say, 1,300 or whatever homes, there might be 200 to 300 missed every week. And by missing, I mean is that somebody doesn't put the garbage can out, or people are gone, whatever, and maybe my number is extremely high. But it could well be, if even at 100 every week, I'm not sure how much that would save the town.
Well, that number would be $433 a month. That's already here. It's not much.
It's not a lot. Maybe the cost of putting the barcodes on might be a lot higher. I'm just saying there is ways to track these things if it's deemed to be viable.
It'll be interesting because right now the city of Calgary has that if you overfill your black cart, you have to buy a bag tag. And so there's already complaints coming in, my garbage is full because I've got 6 kids and I don't recycle and your garbage isn't full and I'm gonna put my bag in your garbage and now I'm not paying, and rather than the bag tag, now I'm gonna throw my garbage out. So I think sometimes you have to be careful about what you hope you're saving could just change the problem.
You know what, I quite agree with you that it might invite more trouble than it's worth.
I think you're onto something, John, but I think it's a different topic altogether. It's more of optimization more than just
Somebody going
somebody maybe, it could be an optimization for garbage recycling, water, sewage, whatever like that. I think it could be a different topic altogether.
Yeah, one thing, technology is a great help, and I think not move forward on a lot of things where we actually are much better at this already than we were, say, 5 or 10 years ago.
So it's really looking to the residents paying for the service they actually receive.
Well, sometimes it may be too hard intuitively to actually make changes on your account as well. I mean, you gotta look at the whole package, right?
For sure.
So if the person, it may just be a savings to the town and the town can pocket themselves. Maybe a bad thing to say as a citizen, but
I have a question for you, John. So you leave for 6 months, right? Or 5 months, 4 months.
I would like to, yes.
What's the deal with your insurance? Because if you're gone for 72 hours, you have to have your house checked all the time.
I have a special insurance, but that's,
Yeah, okay.
that's, you know, I,
Because most of the guys I know, they always have their kids or somebody come look or do stuff. There's always in and out case of water, flood, fire stuff, so.
But you can also, like, it doesn't just have to be the town shutting off your curb stop, you can also shut the water off inside on your
Well, that's
own
why I was wondering
service.
how far.
well, you mean, you do the house here, for instance?
Yeah.
You know, I have somebody that goes and checks it periodically, you know, neighbors have the keys and, you know, whatever.
So you don't want the water shut off, you just want the garbage stopped, or what's,
No, they want water, some of these want the water shut off.
So garbage would not be, you know, would not be applicable. Water is, you really want that left on because, you know, they need to flush the toilets once in a while.
Oh, yeah, 'cause if you
Because
get-
you don't want them. to
That-
dry up.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
So, you know, the question would be if there's a study done on what you would actually save on, say, the 6-month period of time by eliminating certain.
Disconnecting hookups, yeah.
For some of the standard fees anyways, I mean, something, Ken says, sometimes you have to charge people for certain things because you can't get away from it. The town has, the community has the cost, overall cost. The usage cost may be changed, but, you know, turning off and on a valve, the guys that come up and do that, you know, they don't come for free like he says. So it's not an arguing the fact that you know, I want to personally save on this. I just want to see that people are saying, you know, I mean, I can afford to pay the bill,
Yeah.
but, you know, but people that may.
This might be a thing we look into doing.
But chances are, to that statement, John, chances are that people who are going away for 4 months at a time can't afford to pay their bill. Just
And you
just
can let
say,
truck to drive by,
yeah,
to even have the service.
Please don't pay the bill.
yeah.
So I guess my question would be, Ken, my question would be, what is the administrative cost here in the office to ensure that there's a shut off,
Yeah.
that everything else,
They come over.
and it's actually off?
Yeah.
When you're notified of they're leaving the house and it's on this date, and everybody's date is different, so there's an administrative cost every time that happens. What does that look like? Is
It would be,
that
it would be
$200
very
fee?
minimal. What we would do is we'd set up we'd set up a one-time setup of a different billing code. There's the current status where everybody gets everything, and we create a new status in the system, paused or snowbird or whatever we call it. I mean, that's 2 minutes to change a setting in the computer, another 2 minutes to change it back on the other when they come back. And then we'd obviously physically have to send somebody out there to turn off the curb stop and turn off the curb stop.
And you can't just send them out, somebody over the age of 18 has to be home in the home to make sure that the curb stop actually works.
Yeah,
And when they come back, the reverse has to be true as well, make sure that when they turn back on again.
I mean, I think if we charged like $50, we'd probably be fine. I mean, this isn't a crushing burden,
But
but
you've
if we're
got,
charging them $50, like, okay, that's almost what we're gonna charge them anyway, so like.
and with a billing cycle every 2 months, like, I don't know that sense, especially if we didn't.
A question, do we have maybe houses in town that water is shut off right now? And what do we do with those bills? Like if there's houses that are vacant right now, that nobody's living in them, is the curb stop shut off until somebody goes, that does not happen?
Unless they request it.
Unless,
If nobody's living in it, they still get a minimum. bill.
but the request, has the request ever come before or to, do you know?
No.
No? Okay.
The only ones we ever actually shut off occasionally in the industrial zone is something that's gonna be shut off for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big line.
Yeah, I can see
We'll
that.
take that down.
Yeah.
I don't think we should shut the water off, maybe the gas, or the garbage pickup, but most places need water for servicing, flushing, or blah.
So
If they're not
maybe,
using the water like there's gonna be minimum, so.
so maybe instead of, again, making a decision on this, because basically, for right now, this is information, maybe we could do some more research on it, see what it costs time-wise at the office to, you know, set up the appointments, because I mean, you're gonna have to have an appointment scheduled to get somebody out there, get the water shut off, make sure the person's there, same in reverse, and people will forget that, and then they want the water turned off when they come home at midnight, and there's nobody to do it, it's a long weekend, you know, I mean,
Those are the chances you take.
I know. I just know that from from elsewhere that that's what happens. But maybe we can take a look at, so maybe we should just have this for information. Maybe administration could take a look at, barcodes on the garbage
Remember
bins.
that check that you can track every used garbage pickups is our cracking our things. It's where the shop.
Okay, so what does council feel, just for information, this report?
I think so, and then I think this bring back all the costs associated with it, and what I don't want is, something that burdens staff that much more away from a lot of their other jobs and duties, and I'm not sure doing it for 10 people is that public benefit that we talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Needs to benefit both sides.
Yeah, it has to be on both.
Yeah.
Okay, so, it's under actions and decisions, but in my opinion, it's for information.
We'll get
Do you want a motion on the stuff that you're gonna bring back?
Sure.
Okay.
Put it down. so I
Do
don't
you want to make that motion?
So Lindsay has something to remind me.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll make the motion that Ken Boswell, the CEO, brings back further information for the council. Administration, thank you, for council to make a better decision,
more informed decision.
more informed, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of that motion? That's carried. Okay, signing authorities. I'll make a motion that we add Councillor Justin Gustafson and Councillor Kim Harris as signing authorities for the town of Crossfield at 18. Okay,
Did we remove the girls?
that is automatic, or do we have
We
to?
did that. I
It was
was-
done,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to make a specific motion for that. So I move that the two of them be added. All in favor? Okay, that's good. And Lindsay, you have the paperwork, got everybody to sign? Perfect, done. Okay, under business arising from mayor and council, we've got obviously the council orientation and organizational meeting. I did have a library board meeting, and then all of that's just information, and also volunteer on the Egg Society and gearing up for the market upcoming. So hopefully the COVID numbers stay so that that isn't a last minute cancellation. I guess if that does happen, certainly hope it doesn't, but that would be Alberta Health Services making that ruling and not all of a sudden a last minute cancellation on our part. So fingers crossed that continues on. Ken, two questions for administration. A couple of meetings ago, we talked about touching base with the fire department and see if we could post some kind of a phone number if people found abandoned used needles. Were you able to talk to Ben and come up with a number or a phone number for people?
Yeah, we do have a number that we have posted. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna kind of do it, I don't know if this is a council decision or we just do it, but the little amber plastic needle receptacle things, we're gonna just tack a bunch of them onto. We have the distance markers on all our pathways. We're thinking just putting them in certain situations where we know, and there'll be a little phone number, I call fire department, emergency response, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, people have mixed feelings about
I know.
safe usage, and some people think it's great and some people don't think it's great, and
I just want there to be a phone number that people can call if they find one. Because even if you've got a sharps container hanging on one of your markers, if somebody has not put it into that container, you're still asking somebody to pick it up. And I would rather that be somebody like the fire department or our police officer that knows how to pick them up.
I misinterpreted what you said.
Okay.
I understand now.
Yeah, because, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a sharps container. I'm not 100% in favor of that because they're not bomb-proof. Like people can beat them apart, and then, you don't want them to have access to multiple used needles. But if, and I don't think it's that big of a problem, but I just, if there is a number that they can call and have somebody that knows how to pick them up, I think
We can
that's,
certainly get some signage up on our pathway markers and such.
yeah,
Yeah, if you find needle, please call this.
right, yeah.
Picture of it, whatever.
Okay, and then were you able to get any updated information on the request for the poppies on the columbarium?
Yes, we put the request in. We haven't got, apparently it's more of a deal than we thought.
Yeah,
Like, apparently the stone, you need to have like sort of a special drill to get in so that the columbarium doesn't blow up, but
Right.
then you can put the proper proper poppy on. That is in the works. We'll get a quote as soon as it comes back.
Okay, and then will we have the information on, I don't know, who would do the drilling to put the poppy in?
I know the guys who are here anyways.
Okay.
There's all that Colbert and some stuff you can do.
Yeah, because apparently the Columberry stone is really, really hard.
Right.
So they need some uber special diamond, something or other drill.
But right now, if somebody passes away and you're gonna put a headstone in the cemetery, you have your people who do that. It's not just anybody who does it, not,
Right.
and so if you're gonna put a poppy on there, it's not just somebody with the right drill bit.
No,
So,
there's a company that does that.
okay, so are we in contact with them? We know they
Yes.
can do that. So if somebody wants to put a poppy on their parents' thing, what do? Do we have that in place, or you'll?
We don't have it in place at the moment. It's easy enough. As soon as we get a quotation back,
Okay.
saying this is how much it's going to install, what, I'll bring it to council. Do we just flow it through? Do we add 5% for shipping and handling? I don't know how we want to do that.
Well, I think that if much like whoever buys a headstone for the family member, that would be something that they would do. But if we have it available and have somebody who can do it, then I would like that made public in the newsletter or whatever, so that people who want to then purchase a copy, have the copy attached, can phone either the town office or whoever directly, like
I think we just run it through the front office here.
Okay, because I think there's gonna be a few that want it, so you're still working on that then, thank you. Okay, Deputy Mayor Price.
We had our get together and we had an organizational meeting and that's it.
Okay, Councillor Gustafson.
So I have a Rocky View Foundation meeting tomorrow night. That will be my first meeting with them. And that's about it. I have, because I didn't write it down, what's the other meetings I'm supposed to be going to as well? I'm sorry, Lindsay.
Lindsay will send you stuff.
Lindsay will send out a list of all the boards.
Boards.
Yeah.
What was the other board? I'm sorry to ask you this.
MPC.
Yeah, NBC Thursday one, so.
Oh, the municipal plan. Yeah, okay. And I haven't got to that yet.
Sure.
Yeah, we have that.
You haven't had it.
And Lindsay, thank you for reminding me of that. When you send out a list to the council of the boards that are on, as a refreshed list, can you also, and I think on all the ones that are left, we're voting members. But can you confirm that for everybody? Because some of the boards in the past, we were the liaison with no voting privileges. It's important for everybody to know if they're voting members. And if we have access to those groups' bylaws or whatever might be in place, that would be really beneficial for the new councillors as well. If you would do that, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Harris.
Well, I'm new, I don't have much to report, but I am very appreciative of the orientation that we've had so far.
Okay, Councillor Halbert.
I got nothing further to add. You guys got it covered.
Okay, administrative operations update.
Not a whole lot to report. We've been seeing a fair bit of each other the last little while, but I've kind of run out of things to say. We caught a little bit of a break on the weather returning approximately to normal, so we will be blitzing the hard surfaces, the concrete, very, very aggressively Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, where according to the weather forecast, we're going to be sort of 10-ish every day. We expect that we will get the bulk, perhaps all of the concrete done if we get really lucky. We're obviously prioritizing the west side and the businesses, and we'll make sure the businesses are back to normal. If we're missing a sidewalk on the east side where there's no buildings, well, you know, we'll do what we may miss a sidewalk. I'm sure nobody would complain. That's right. You get an exemption from shoveling. We will be doing the last bit of paving probably Monday, maybe Tuesday. So when we get together a week from now, we should have a fully functional railway street again where you can drive from end to end.
As long as we are clear that the final lift is coming next year, we need to prepare people for that.
Yeah. And just to be clear, once again, if you see the lip of the road, there's a couple inches where the curb is higher than the road. The reason for that is because we have done so much underground work, we anticipate there will be some settling of the road. It's just the way it is in Alberta. You put in you dig out a trench big enough for a 5-foot storm pipe, and just the way it is. So probably next year we will go in and do the final lift. That's probably not definitely. If we see substantial shifting and we think it's still going on, we might push it back a second year. But in Alberta, it's kind of 50-50. Some people do it after 1 year, some people do it after 2 years. It's kind of a play it by ear call, but most likely, that road's built to a very high standard. We actually have a very, very aggressive, very, very deep gravel and crush base under there. So we anticipate pretty minimal shifting, but you don't know until you get there. So other than the top lift, which will come next year, for clarity, the road will be back in operation roughly this time next week.
And I have heard you on that before. I just want to make sure the public is aware of it. Because I'm sure that they think that by the time this all gets cleaned up, if we come back next year without proper reminders or several reminders of them at the top lifted, they'll lose the plot because they'll think.
And a lot of the decorative items will follow in, like for example, the Fortis will be installing the decorative lighting when they install the decorative lighting. We think that would be this year, but it's Fortis. They show up when they show up. It's booked, it's in the queue. It should be soon.
And the price has been already determined, so it isn't going to be all of a sudden a huge price increase.
We'll know about it in advance. There'll be a few decorative items that will defer. We'll probably drop in the flower, the planters, because that's easy enough. You can do that whenever you do it. The truck shows up, drops them in. Some of the trees might get planted next year. Some of the grass will probably get planted next year, but we anticipate the hard surfaces will be done. And remember, 90-something% of this project is underground, and the underground's all done.
Right.
The big stuff is done. There'll be a few cosmetic items. We started out a long way behind on this project. It took, the world thawed a month later than we expected. We were hoping to be in the ground, April, basically May, we were in the ground. We had some issues with where the infrastructure was. It cost us about 3 weeks. We got out of the gate about 7 weeks late. It didn't look good then. We've clawed back a long way. They've made up a ton of ground. And, I'm not releasing the public number until we have triple checked it and we know exactly where we are financially. But we are helpfully under budget on this project.
And I think administration will convey your ideas about, the final paving through the communication department here.
Yeah, we'll be absolutely getting that.
So how we have it.
We'll be doing a big blitz. Once we're waiting on a couple final numbers in terms of exactly what some of the decorative items coming in are from external suppliers are going to be, because there's a little bit of volatility in that pricing. But we're pretty confident where the number is going to come in, because everything that's high risk is done. The places where the budget could go horribly wacky off the rails is in the underground.
So,
And that's done.
what about finishing the entrances to alleys and stuff?
Yeah, that's all getting done. We're doing 5 days of.
Next week.
Yeah, I would actually request a motion from council that for those 5 days, we waive the noise bylaw, because I basically told them, you want to go 16 hours a day, knock yourself out.
You want a motion on that? I make a motion that during this last big push to get this project done, that the noise bylaw be waived for the contractors.
Yep.
All in favor of that motion?
Yeah, but
I live 2 houses off from it, so.
just so we have it on the books,
I'll
but
be
yeah,
appreciated.
the saw-offs into the alley. Basically, we have prioritized the stuff that returns people back to normal, and we will be getting everything back to normal. John may not have a sidewalk, but you already don't have a sidewalk. So
The right one?
I think we need to communicate the noise issue,
Sure.
Yeah.
possible noise.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Doing a hell of a job.
And while I'm talking about this, I would like to put a bouquet out to Mustafa, our engineer, who's coordinated all of this thing. Given the magnitude of this project, an awful lot of things could have blown up. And a lot of little things blew up because that's just the way it is with projects this size. But the overall coordination was extremely good. This is a big, big project that had a lot of curveballs in it, and it's done approximately on time, and it's done meaningfully under budget. And I think Mustafa gets a gold star on the cookie for that one.
John had a question.
Maybe there's a lessons learned in the communication side across the duration of the project. As a resident here, I hear lots of things from people, and I personally understand why delays were, such and so on. I think communicating that in a more prominent fashion to the residents would have probably helped, the overall perception of the progress and all that stuff. And it's like I say, a lesson learned perhaps, but when people don't know and they start speculating and they make up their own reasons why these things are happening, not happening, it doesn't help the overall team.
Right.
Because the brunt goes to certain people. Ken, I'm sure you've had some, and also the construction team as well. I mean, these people have tried very hard to make this project work. So again, communication hopefully would definitely alleviate some of the stress.
Right, yeah. Okay, and then Ken, we were talking earlier about snow removal on Railway Street. So I could make a motion that we send letters to the property owners, and if we get all the sidewalks in, it'll be the property owners on both sides, letting them know that this year, because of the disruption and such that they've all endured, that the town will be looking after the snow removal on both sides for this year at no cost. Okay, so that's my motion. All in favor? Okay, and then you had a request for administration to come back with maps of what that would look like, maps and costs in the future,
Mass
right?
costs and further information.
Yeah.
That's your motion.
Okay.
That'll make up for your garbage.
That's your motion.
Just before you go through with that, do we want to remind them that we discourage, parking on Railway Street during snow nights, like snow days? Try and get everyone so they can make.
Yeah, we can put that in the letter, sure.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, we can put maps.
It's gonna make things easier.
Is everybody okay with having that put in the letter to the property owners?
Another reminders.
It's already policy.
Yeah. Okay, so can we have that included in the
Reaffirm
motion?
policy.
Okay, and then your motion, Councillor Harris, was to come, for administration to come back with maps, costs, and
And further information.
further information.
We'll give you a map and we'll cost it as best we can.
Perfect, okay.
Thank you.
All in favor of that motion? And that is carried. It was nothing in closed session, correspondence was there. Upcoming events, nothing. Gallery questions?
James. I have actually three things, I guess. First of all, speaking to Christina here in the hallway, one of the things that I've always noticed for many, many years, the website, the town website and the business exposure on the town website is non-existent. Yes, there's a list of businesses and that's about it, right? Perhaps it could be a standard company description that can be posted with each company on the website. Because it probably would be, if it's maybe a separate heading where somebody can go through and see, okay, yes, somebody thinks, I don't know,
Board of Inspectors.
whatever, so that there's a simple overview structure that basically describes in reasonable detail what a company does, Strike Energy, for instance, okay, or anybody, and small or large, and, I think it would definitely help the exposure and the livelihood of all the business in town.
Is that, sorry, I'll jump in on that. So you're just looking for like a company profile?
Yeah.
On the websites, not just a link to, well, some people don't have web pages, but like a company profile. Is that something maybe the chamber could help do as well?
We had kind of tasked that to the chamber, but
They have, but they also have a lot of turnover and changeover.
Yeah.
The people running it now are pretty good. But when anybody phones me, a guy from Montreal, he wants a blast sortation company, he goes onto our website. He says, most places they go, oh, there's these 6 places I can buy stuff from. So that's kind of maybe just a little bit of, these are the guys and that's it kind of thing, but when they don't go to the chamber and they don't have this, that. So the, as a town thing, most people in Europe, they go to Crossfield and go to latte place, they have 16 places around it. That's what I kind of want to do with our town website that we have, our website, and everything's great, so. Now it's new, so.
Because part of the challenge is that the chamber was promoting chamber members, rightly so.
Yeah.
The town kind of wanted the chamber to take that on rather than it be at the town. And then there are businesses that don't necessarily have a town license, but that kind of do business in town. They should have a town license, but they might be.
But they aren't a member of the chamber.
And they might not have a town license, so, but that doesn't mean that, like, I'll just use Mike Steenhardt, who lives out on the highway, right, when he was a builder. So he's a good builder, or even his son still builds, but doesn't have a town business license, but you have to come up with criteria as to how you,
I'd say
have it,
town
right?
business
Because-
license. Your town business license on the website.
Yeah, and that's exactly what
Yeah.
the website is all the businesses that are on the website now, we have a business directory, we pull them from
The business license,
business
Yes.
licenses.
Yeah.
So you can check it all up online here.
And that's the only fair way to keep it updated,
Yes.
Yes.
because sometimes you don't even know if a business is left or going under or closes until.
Well, you know, I mean, that's a maintenance issue, but setting up, over the years, I read the local news a lot, you know, and I see a lot of misinformation on companies that have been here, you know, that have changed over the last 25 years, and still the same information is shown on there. It's just not updated, it's not accurate, it really is a misrepresentation. As a community, we want to grow industrial area, et cetera, and the business community. I think having them exposed on your, you know, properly exposed on your town website, I think is a good step.
So, John, in your opinion, who's responsible for the update? For example, if they've got a business license, and so we pull a business license, and yeah, it's the same company as last year, it's ABC, so you renew it on there, or it's on there already, you don't have to do, so there's nothing to do. But if ABC has somewhat changed their business, like, who's responsible for keeping it up to date, in your opinion?
You know, there's a method, like if you create a format, and part of the format is a yearly update that goes to, let's say, somebody at that particular business, they have to review the content, send it back, approved.
Okay.
And then the state, I mean, you can shortcut a lot of that stuff, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce doing that, or whether it's somebody in the town office, like, let's say there's 250 businesses in Crossfield. If you mail it all out, and you get it back in a matter of a couple of weeks or whatever, you know, and then just plug them back in, basically upload them. How long would it take for somebody to do that? 1-2 days?
Yeah, so my question is, like, some of these businesses, I think, are, and this is just an opinion of mine, might not be as quick on the draw sending the information back. And so then you've got old information on there, and maybe they've changed their business type, and you know, so.
But then you set a deadline.
Yeah.
You must return by, say, 30 days from this date. If you don't, then the same stuff keeps going back on the website.
Yeah, and the old information.
When we send out as administration, when we send out renewal notices to businesses now for the business licenses, we usually include a business license application to ask them to update any of their information.
Yeah.
The majority of the time, it's the same information, so they just call, here's my payment, and so we just renew it. I know their old website, we did have a section under the business license where we were able to, they could send us a copy of their logo and then company profile and all that kind of stuff. But it was more of a, entering it into the website kind of took a little bit more time to do that because it's not just, it's separate than our municipal software. So
It could still be something.
we do
that we-
something like
yeah.
that when we do the renewals, create a form, send information in.
It could still be something we strive to achieve, and
Yeah.
if they don't respond with any updated information,
That's
then,
all.
you know, that's kind
Maybe
of.
this is a business development task, you know, I'm not sure if Laura's back next year or whatever, you know, something like that. There used to be a huge disconnect between industrial or business people and the town administration. No offense to anybody, it's a lot better today, but there was a very large disconnect, and basically nobody wanted to talk to the town.
Okay.
Because it was a toxic environment. And I think with all the changes that we've seen over the last number of years, we all feel better about it, but, you know, hopefully we can help each other.
Sure.
Better communication.
Okay. We had 3 things, so that was one.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Second item is parking along Railway Street. And I briefly mentioned this with Ken at one time, I believe. If parking becomes critical, or there's been subject of discussion about parking on the east side, basically, we have the overflow parking lot there. That's the town basically, you know, looks after, et cetera, et cetera. Are we thinking that we're going to need more parking all the way along, or maybe convenient on the land that, say, myself and somebody else owns?
I'm hoping that we've accommodated enough where we're going to allow for the angle parking on the off sides, you know, on the side streets.
Trucks and trailers.
Well, yeah, the truck and trailer, well, and I mean, I guess, but I guess in between, like if we've made the entrance and exit on the one that we're using, right? And then Carmen's, hopefully that's enough space. Like, I don't know that we have.
You know, I'm just saying that because I've seen, you know, people say, well, Arches has not enough parking or whatever, right? Or there's not enough parking in areas for big vehicles or whatever that's described. You know, if I have to block off the lots in order for nobody to actually be able to enter those areas, you know, is that more of a hassle for me than anything? If there's a arrangement where I say, hey, you know, they can use all of it, you guys make sure you have the insurance on it, you know, because liability insurance, whatever, right? And then we actually have more of an open town, more open the street uses, you know. I'm just thinking of.
I want you to build something.
Well, that's my next thing. I'm going to show you a picture.
Yeah.
Everybody is going to look at a design for a building, because that could be the potential new town office. I know Joanna doesn't like me saying that probably, but.
We've got a new town office.
Right?
We've got a new town office, remember?
You do, but I think this is. Can I show you?
Presentation period.
Well, it's basically a question. He just wants to show us a picture.
Can I show you?
We're not making any decisions.
I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So,
You
I
go.
just asked a question.
We're learning, yeah. Good.
You can put up a big screen. Oh.
John, we'll indulge you, because in normally question period isn't presentation, but that's okay.
well, I know that this is one of these things, like we've been working on some kind of an idea of what to build down there. But there's viability issues in itself. And the town office as it is proposed has some political issues, I think, that I think the pushback was quite amazing.
$4 million, that was too much.
Well, that, yeah.
So,
but that was-
what I'm proposing is basically something that perhaps is, yeah, this is a whole different design. So I basically, can we put it on the screen?
Turn that on. Are you able to connect with Intel display monitor? Is that, if you can Bluetooth into that projector or to that TV?
Yeah.
Or if you can just put it on a flash drive, or we can just plug it in if you've got a.
And otherwise, John, if it doesn't load there, you can send it to us and we can have that at our next meeting too.
Basically, this is a building. It would take up the whole block across the ATB, across the CIBC, or whatever you want to call that. And then it would basically say, could house the town office, say 9,000 square feet. The whole building is expected to be about 25,000 square feet. So you could take up, say, the north end, both floors, 4,500 square feet per floor. And this drawing is basically just a depiction of what can be, okay? So You get a lot of brick.
This is on the east side of,
Yeah, right across the BTV.
So basically, this would be looking from the north side. We actually would like to set it back about 8 feet off the sidewalk, the property line being actually at the sidewalk on that side. And then actually having a second floor balcony.
There you go.
Yeah. And basically as a cover over the walk area. So you can actually, sorry? So you kind of create a very socially friendly environment. Like a building like this, and I'm sorry? Well, the one thing about this, the way it's laid out, and I don't have a plot plan here on my computer, the number of parking stalls are going to be quite a bit more than what you can do on the CIBC lands. You would have more, you likely would have ownership of more land, like, because we basically would just legally divide the building and the plot, so you own the building and the land, or a portion thereof. So if you say I would like to have 9,000 square feet, because I think that's roughly what the other building was proposed to be, I believe, Ken? The building of the CIBC, if the renovations would happen, would be about 9,000 square feet of floor space. So, you know, this could be 9,000, this could be 10,000, this could be 12, this could be 8,000, whatever. Because the whole building would likely be about 25,000 square feet on 2 floors. So, you know, dressing it up, I mean, this is a basic idea. It would be very much in keeping with the motif that we're trying to create for downtown Crossfield. And what it would do, it would fill up basically the whole block and make that viable, because without a very strong tenant or an ownership portion of it, before anything would happen on that side, would be probably a very long time. No offense to anybody, but that's just the way it is. So think about it. We can go into more detail. My rough costs, and again, I'm going by perceived budgets, that numbers that were thrown out for the other proposal, this would be considerably cheaper.
Yeah, and that number should have never.
Sorry?
Do a real proposal and give some paperwork to.
Well, and
Counselors are going to deal with this.
And John, that,
There's a process.
yeah.
Well, there is a
John-
process,
yeah.
but, you know, because, I mean, you guys have gone down the path already. It is, you know, difficult to reverse sometimes, but luckily enough, I think you purchased that property at a very good, you know, price point.
Yeah.
But it's extremely expensive to renovate, build, and you're very limited in the space. Like, you have about 6,700 square foot of land space there. That's all you have. Over there, you probably almost would have, not quite double, but I think 11 or 12,000 square feet. So again, more parking stalls, probably double the parking stalls that you would have, that you could ever get on that line.
Well, and part of the challenge was that number that ended up with the public.
Oh, I know.
Like that was not to be out in the public. It was a back of the napkin.
Joanne,
somebody's
I know all.
dream. And once it's out there, there's no way to pull it back. And so, I mean, that was not realistic.
That went out indeed, you know, and I understand all that. I mean, I'm just saying that numbers tend to be, you know, you want to control your numbers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And, you know, if we can get better value for the money that the town spends, you know, and you get a beautiful balcony.
Thank you very much, John.
Good sales man.
Well,
So
if it's something, and, you know, as we continue doing things, I'm sure there'll be more conversation with you, so thank you.
Well, what I would like to, you know, if you folks want to go down that path, I want to sit down with whomever that you guys decide and say, okay, let's go down this path and see where we can go with this.
Well, yeah, and we're certainly not there yet, so, yeah.
Well,
The town hall is a meeting hall of its own.
well, I'm sure it is, but
100 things to talk about. Probably not.
Super.
But, you know, Yeah, John and I have talked about this a couple of times. It is a not unreasonable option, whether it's the best option.
We'll have to, yeah, that's right.
I just wanted everybody to know about it because, you know, I hate talking to just one person because I think really, I mean, you folks are the decision makers, right?
Yeah.
So being able to show you guys this is a privilege and thank you for that. You know, am I doing everything all according to the rules, Kim?
No.
I'm not, you know what, everybody knows me, I just do it.
John and the rule.
Thank you. James, did you have any
But
questions?
you know what,
No?
it's not about trying to get an advantage, I just want to see the town move ahead.
We're done.
I mean, at the last, it's empty, I don't
Make a
care.
motion to adjourn.
Yeah, make a motion to adjourn.
All right, thanks, John. We're adjourned. Thank you. At least there's this.